And this is a great topic for like my caregivers out there, and especially God, the nurses and the healers, and also my moms, and of course, like the super supportive friends. This is a good topic to go over. So, 5 tips on how you can stop yourself when you start to be overly helpful. So, number one, wait to be asked. This goes back to identifying the signs. You've got to listen to the key words, which is advice, solve my problem, your opinion, right? Listen to those key words when someone's talking to you about their issues or their stuff. You've got to wait for the question. And I'm a huge proponent of when someone's telling me their problem, when they're talking to me about something they're going through, if I hear those words or if I think they're insinuating that, I will straight up ask them. I have no problem being like, are you asking my opinion right now? Do you want my advice? Because I need to make sure that that's what's happening here. I need to make sure that the agreement between us in conversation is going the right way. Because if not, you're being a manipulative asshole and you're listening for the wrong reasons, for truth. All right, another tip on how to stop yourself from offering to help is to just listen. So just practice it. And for a lot of us, this is going to be a little uncomfortable, right? So it's not our default to just listen to other people's problems. Like Christina's email, she was talking about being a natural problem solver. If you identify as that, if you identify as like an empath or someone who just really cares about other people and you want to try to help a lot, practice being in that uncomfortable space of listening to someone else and not solving the problem. And I bet you if you're in any kind of codependent relationship, that's going to get real uncomfortable real quick for both of you. Because as you start to just listen and not offer solutions, the other person, if they're used to a pattern with you, will start to see like, hey, oh, why aren't you solving my problem right now? So just be aware of that and just really practice that if it's an uncomfortable thing for you. Number 3, a way to stop yourself from offering to help is if you're being asked to help, prompt that person of ways to think about how they can solve the problem as a means of not enabling them. So if you've determined, yes, they're asking for help, they've said the keywords advice, opinion, or solve my problem in the context of conversation, and perhaps you've even asked to confirm, then really think about how you can help them solve the problem. And I found in my own personal relationships and the way that I work, most times people have the solution. People know what they want to do. It's buried in their gunk somewhere. And as a friend, as a sounding board, which is what people are really looking for right now, your job is not to dig in there and find the problem and unearth it. That's their job. Your job is to just help them look the other way. You know, with those kinds of questions like, I don't know, what do you think? Or have you been through anything like this before? Or is this something you know a lot about? Because even if someone's like, oh, I don't know what to do, if you turn that around and just ask them like in conversation, well, is this something you know something about? Or, you know, do you have any opinions about this? Ask them their opinion or ask them what advice they would give themselves, etc., etc. You're prompting them to help them figure it out, which is so much better and really what they need anyway. And it doesn't accidentally over obligate you to a bunch of shit that's going to prevent you from doing self-care. Number 4 on a tip on how to stop yourself from offering help is to take a break from responsibility. And you've got to verbalize that you're taking the break from being helpful. So if you have a lot of friends that are used to depending on you for something, or you've got a lot of responsibilities right now, maybe you're the primary caretaker of the children while everyone's at home. Let's say that's your role. And it's just sort of been assumed, or maybe there was a discussion in the beginning of quarantine that you're going to be the primary caregiver or you're going to take care of this thing. You have an absolute right to take a break from whatever that is. And it does not matter if it's kids, raising children, or the nutrition and food for the house, the finances, the chores, the laundry, the cooking, the doctor's appointments, whatever the responsibility is that feels like it's bearing down on you, you have a right to take a break from that. And taking that break and verbalizing like, hey, I need to not do all this stuff is a way to stop you from offering to help. It's how to walk yourself back from previously overcommitting yourself, from previously being overly helpful, and the damage it has now caused. So again, if you have some sort of agreement, a verbal understanding that you are responsible for certain things in the household or in your life, you have every right to full stop be like, I don't want to do that anymore. We need to figure out another way to rearrange the responsibilities. I'm taking a break. I need a 2-week break from the laundry, or a 2-week break from picking up the kids and, entertaining them all the time, or whatever it might be. All right, number 5, a way you can stop yourself from offering to help too much is you acknowledge your realistic resources. So that really comes down to, this is more about time than anything, but let's say resources, money, and objects. Those are your 3 resources that you have available that you could possibly offer to help somebody with, right? And of those 3 things, your time is the most valuable resource you possess. I think anyone who is been through any kind of big, challenging, scary thing in their life, they know how precious life is. They know how fleeting our time is here on earth, and it's yours. And you get to decide what to do with it. And you've got to protect that resource. You've got to be very diligent, especially now. Every minute of your life is yours. You own it. You're responsible for it. Do not erroneously give it away to people that don't deserve it. And be choosy about who you give that time to. Because offering to loan your tools or whatever to solve a problem, that's different, right? That's a monetary thing. It can be recouped. You can let that go. Your time you can't get back. And that kind of goes with the finances, right? Like if you're trying to help somebody who's got a problem and money is the solution and you're available to do that, you have to be very diligent about that resource and acknowledge your realistic ability to give, right? If you're loaning the same person $100 every month and they're never paying it back, be realistic about how long you can actually keep that going and how that's being too helpful. Okay, so now we know what it looks like when we're, about to be too helpful. And we understand why that extreme is bad for us. It leaves us 0 time for self-care. And now that we've got some ideas on how we can, change our thoughts and how to stop offering to be so helpful, I really want to talk about how and when it's appropriate to be helpful. So we've gone over a few of these already, but it's always worth repeating. It's, I'm a big fan of just like say it and say it and say it again. When is it okay to be helpful? It's okay to be helpful only when you are asked. I know I've said this like in every section, but this is the absolute truth. This is the point of today's show. It is only helpful if you're being asked. So again, listen to those 3 trigger words: advice, opinion, solve my problem. Number 2, it's okay to be helpful when you're connecting resources that's not going to require you getting involved at all. Like above a text or a call or something like that. And then stop at that. Cut yourself off. So that's what I was talking about before. It is okay to be helpful when one person says, gosh, I really wish I knew a great place that made quality t-shirts. And then I text you or message you, hey, Blazing Stitches here in Portland does a phenomenal job. I've always had high quality stuff. I love their stuff. They're great. They're fast. They're wonderful people. Here's their number. Right? I'm not telling that person I'm going to take you down there. I'm going to introduce you to my sales rep. I'm going to get you this deal. Like that's inserting yourself too far. But when you can connect somebody to a resource that's not going to require you to do anything, that's okay. That's being super helpful and a responsible kind of helpful. And it's okay to be helpful, number 3, only when you have the time. So again, this goes back to your hottest commodity is your time. You decide how you're spending it, and you only offer your time when you have it. And a lot of us, maybe we have some extra time right now. So that's something that's a commodity we can be a little freer with. But if you've got a set schedule, if you've got a set amount of responsibilities, how, kind of your life goes, or you got some predictability, whether or not you can help somebody move on Saturday, if that's going to cut into your system. All right, and it's number 4, it's okay to be helpful only when the second you offer your help, you don't regret it. So I want to talk about this just real quickly here. If somebody comes to you with a problem and you're still practicing, not being too helpful, and you're trying to rear it in, and you find yourself automatically offering your help to move on Saturday, And the second you say it, you're like, fuck. I don't want to help them move on Saturday. I got XYZ I got to do. I got this I got to get done. I got a deadline at work, blah, blah, blah. You have to figure out the strength and get the strength up to say, oh my gosh, I offered that and I really shouldn't have. Because the second you offer it and you regret it, you better walk it back immediately. And you know what? If it's a good friend, if it's someone who understands and they know you're working on this, I'm pretty sure they're going to understand. Especially if it's in that moment. But if you delay, oof, that's when the drama starts. So, just try to do it right in that moment. Number 5, it's okay to be helpful only when you've done your self-care or have some kind of self-care recovery plan installed after the helping is done. I've got a worksheet out on how to, it's a self-care recovery plan, and it's the plan that you use after trauma or after an event that you really need to be more mindful and loving and nurturing and good to yourself first. So it's a little worksheet that you can walk through. It's on the website, www.selfcareissexy.com. I want to run through that real quick again, just to kind of recap the show. So again, ways to identify you're being too helpful. 1, you're offering without being asked. 2, you're formulating a plan while someone is still sharing their problems. Number 3, you're offering tools and resources. Number 4, you're inserting yourself into the problem. Number 5, you're a hero addict. Number 6, you offer and they say no. And then the 5 tips on how to stop yourself from offering too much help is number 1, wait to be asked. Number 2, just listen. Number 3, if you're being asked to help, prompt that person to think of ways they can solve their problem. Number 4, take a break from your responsibilities. Number 5, acknowledge your realistic resources. Yes. And then when is it okay to be helpful? Number 1, only when you're asked. Number 2, only when you're connecting resources. Number 3, only when you have the time. Number 4, only when the second you offer it, you don't regret it. Number 5, only when you've done self-care. All right, friends, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. If you have a story you'd like to share and you want to be on the show, please email me. It's Kris, Kris, @selfcareissexy.com. Okay, we've got some really great content coming your way, so stay tuned. And remember that self-care is sexy. We're giving you permission to put yourself first.